KNBC Los Angeles. Good morning, everyone. In the news this morning, the scare over cyanide-laced Tylenol continues to keep authorities busy around the Chicago area and around the country. There have now been 7 deaths linked to the poisoned pills. A group of Amerasian children are due in Los Angeles later today to be reunited with their American fathers. And in sports, the Angels celebrated with champagne. They're in the American League playoffs, but the Dodgers will have to wait until later today to find out where they stand. The Tylenol nightmare is not yet over. Another person died Saturday after taking some Tylenol, bringing the total number of known deaths to 7. The Tylenol, as with the others, contained cyanide. Federal health officials say the local distribution of the suspect extra-strength Tylenol capsules appears to be very limited, but just in case, there are the numbers considered suspect. These numbers appear on the box and the bottle of the capsules: 1801 MA, MC2880, and 1910 MD. No cyanide has been found in any bottles of the capsules taken from stores in Southern California. We now rejoin a broadcast of the 11 p.m. edition of News 4 LA.
Candace Bergen at the Norton Simon Museum, Pasadena, California. It houses many of the greatest art treasures in the world: sculptures, paintings, tapestries. The finest artists are here: Rembrandt, Monet, Raphael, Cézanne, Zurbaran, Van Gogh, Renoir, Degas, Goya, Picasso, hundreds of others. Now Norton Simon, who brought together the greatest art collection assembled in decades, is personally directing the creation of a unique setting worthy of these masterpieces. The Norton Simon Museum is open to the public. Check for days and times. Come see it.
A group of Amerasian children is heading toward the Los Angeles area tonight that may be part of a much larger group, perhaps numbering into tens of thousands, all of which hinges on whether or not the president signs a congressional bill before him. Immediately affected by this are 11 small children who have been allowed to leave Vietnam. Each of them had an American parent who served in Vietnam, and each will be going to a home somewhere in the United States. These 7 girls and 4 boys seen here arriving in Bangkok are part of a group of 91 Amerasians whose fathers have admitted paternity and who will be allowed to go to the United States by the Vietnamese government. Last Thursday, Vietnamese authorities announced another 26 Amerasians will be leaving next week for the United States. Now, these kids have since flown on to Hong Kong, and from there they will fly directly here, arriving in the Los Angeles area tomorrow in the early afternoon. Cindy.
Okay. In Lebanon today, another death from a landmine, this time a Lebanese pedestrian. This was the 2nd death this week from a mine. Earlier, a U.S. Marine was killed and 3 other soldiers hurt when a mine exploded near the Beirut airport. Meanwhile, Israeli military officials are denying tonight a London newspaper's report that the country's high command confronted Defense Minister Ariel Sharon last week, demanding his resignation in the wake of the Beirut massacre. Today, Sharon told a crowd of enthusiastic supporters that Israel is being unfairly blamed for the tragedy.
No one points at those who committed this crime. Who are those that are going to be blamed? Who are those who are blamed? Israel is blamed. We were blamed because we are Jews.
There is growing resentment in Israel over the harsh world reaction to the Beirut massacre. And the White House announced today that newly elected Lebanese President Jamal will come to Washington for a meeting with the president in just about 2 weeks. Frank.
Cindy, and in Iran, a truck packed with more than 300 pounds of dynamite exploded in downtown Tehran. The massive blast killed 60 people, injured several hundred, and demolished a 5-story hotel. Iranian officials are blaming anti-government terrorists, but so far, no one has taken credit for planting the explosives. And the FBI is still searching tonight for 5 bombs that could go off in an oil plant.
We've got that story coming up. We also have somewhat of a nice one. We're going to show you how some people said thank you to the police.
You can file your application for survivor benefits with Social Security by phone in Southern California. Dial 1-800-252-9409.
When I decided to carpet my home, I wanted lasting elegance and value, and I found it at Carpeteria. From thousands of rolls, I selected this carpet of soil-resistant Antron-free nylon pile, only $9.99 a square yard. Now that's value. This quality carpet of Antron-free nylon pile comes in either plush or cut loop patterns. No waiting, easy credit available. Carpeteria's everyday low discount prices put luxury at your feet.
Misha's Restaurant and Cabaret offers unequal dining pleasure in West Hollywood. For romantic, intimate evenings, try our Byzantine dining room. For lively, exciting entertainment, shows, and dancing, try our Cabaret room, serving authentic award-winning Russian and continental cuisine, complemented by a very extensive offering of domestic and imported wines. Full banquet facilities. Misha's Restaurant and Cabaret, 7561 Sunset Boulevard. For reservations, call 874-3467.
A picnic was held today by residents of Glenview Street in Los Angeles to thank police for their special help in a bad situation. Our Mary Wallace was there and has this report.
After drug pushers pushed residents on Grandview Street a little too far, they decided to fight back. And with the help of City Hall and City Police, residents here pushed the pushers out of their neighborhood. Today, residents of MacArthur Towers, many of whom are senior citizens, held a picnic to thank police and city officials for helping them to restore their confidence and to reclaim their street. The crackdown, which began 3 weeks ago, involved more than 150 police officers working around the clock. And that, according to Rampart Division Captain Frank Pearsall, can't go on forever.
Well, the plan for the future is obviously we're going to have to de-escalate at some point. I think it's obvious to everybody, including the residents in the area, that we couldn't keep this up forever. And I think they're ready for that eventuality, but we will continue to focus our attention in this area.
According to Captain Pearsall, Grandview Street has an international reputation for drug traffic because it's on this street that you can get whatever you want whenever you want it. But now, according to Captain Pearsall, some of the drug traffic here ought to slow down, especially when you consider the fact that the police department made over 100 arrests in 22 days. Mary Wallace, News 4, L.A.
There's a battle raging in Pacific Palisades tonight between the owner of a historical home and local residents about the future of that building. And today, a star-packed demonstration was held by that town's residents to try to prevent the destruction of the Land and Water Company building. It's the oldest standing structure in the Palisades. Tentatively planned to replace it is a 3-story mall, an idea that was not very popular in Pacific Palisades. The owners say they can't afford to keep the building, so they sold it. But residents are afraid the pretty old landmark that you're looking at right there will someday just be a modern shopping center. They don't like that idea, so they are calling for the submission of some designs for the new mall. They don't want to leave this entirely up to the developers. If it's got to go, they want to at least help with some of the aesthetics.
That's right. Gulf oil installations across the country will remain closed until Monday. The FBI is continuing its investigation into a $15 million extortion plot against the petrochemical giant. 2 men are already under arrest in Arizona in connection with that plot. 34-year-old Michael Allen Worth was taken before a federal magistrate in Phoenix today. His alleged accomplice, 45-year-old Theodore McKinney, arrived at the courthouse a few minutes later. Both men are from Durango, Colorado, and were arrested last night outside Phoenix when the FBI found them making calls to Gulf, claiming 10 bombs had been planted at one of the Gulf's installations outside Houston and would be detonated at noon tomorrow unless the company paid $15 million. 5 of the bombs were discovered last week. The FBI is continuing to look for others. And up in Sacramento, 9 people are still in the hospital tonight being treated for gunshot wounds in a mass shooting incident. 3 other people died from their wounds. They were all in a country western bar last night celebrating the end of summer when a man standing in the door opened fire with a rifle and a handgun. Witnesses said the man had been thrown out of the bar a few hours earlier. The suspect in the case, 29-year-old Douglas Mozingo of Sacramento, is under guard at a hospital tonight, and authorities say he attempted suicide after the shooting. Cindy.
I don't know about you. I'm ready to switch gears. What do you say? Not a bad weekend. USC won.
That's right.
The Angels are in there.
And, of course, the Dodgers are hanging on, you know,
tomorrow,
like the old putty cat. And Fred Rogan will have all of that right after this timeout.
How plush is plush. We do believe that you can buy a plush carpet of Travera polyester pile for as little as $8.99 a square yard. That's Carpeteria's everyday low discount price for luxury. And there are thousands of rolls in Carpeteria's showroom. No waiting, easy credit, immediate installation. If you're looking for plush living at an unbelievable low price, look to Carpeteria, where you can afford Travera luxury to live with.
Hey, Mom, you promised Dad you'd stop. I'm sorry. Greg, sit down for dinner.
No, thanks. I'll be eating in my room.
Don't hand me that. I know what you're doing, sneaking off to your room.
Mind your own business, Kim. I'm not hurting anybody.
Oh, just yourself. Do you want to end up like Mom? And what about me?
You brat.
Do I have to take care of you both?
How do you talk to your typical teen when all that you get is...
I know they can talk. They live on the phone.
I know they can think, though their thoughts are unknown.
I know that you're looking to find my own space.
Must they leave their clothing all over the place?
I keep on trying.
But there's no replying, and all that I get is... How do you cope with a teenager's gloom? How do you get them to clean up their room? You can talk to your plant. You can talk to your bird.
But talk to your teen and you'll never be heard.
You need How to Talk to Your Teenager. Write Talk, Salt Lake City, Utah, 84150 for a free booklet that's sure to tickle you. In it, you'll find helpful hints to assist every struggling parent. And what you'll discover is you're not as far apart as you think.
We know for sure, right?
That's right. Well, 1, 2, 3.
Do it again.
Okay, I'll just take it.
Just take it.
For sure
Just
the
take
Angels
it,
are
you know?
sipping
Angels
champagne,
wrapped
but the
up, right?
Dodgers, of course, are.
Angels wrapped up the American League West crown today. We're going to talk about that in a second. Kind of bad news for the Dodgers because down at Jack Murphy Stadium, Atlanta held on to beat the Padres 4-2 and clinch at least a tie for the Western Division title. And Andy Nadell has that story from San Diego.
Fred, Ray Kroc's birthday fireworks ended up being for the Atlanta Braves, who showed no signs of cracking tonight, beating the Padres 4-2. The Braves took the lead for good in the second inning. Glenn Hubbard singled to score Terry Harper, and it was 1-0. After a third-inning sacrifice made it 2-zip, Chris Chambliss hit his 20th homer of the year to right field as the Braves take their second straight against the Padres, 4-2. The finale tomorrow.
Oh, it's another big ball game. You know, they've all been big this week, and another big one tomorrow.
Pressure, how do you feel?
Well, it's a lot of fun. You know, we've been in both situations, and this is a lot more fun.
It's nervous time up and down the California coast tomorrow. I'm Andy Nadell, and I'll stay in San Diego until it's over. Back to you in the studio, Fred.
Or until the expense account runs out. That's when he'll come back. Here's the situation. If the Braves win tomorrow, it is all over. Atlanta wins the West. If they lose and the Dodgers beat the Giants, the Dodgers and Braves will play it off Monday at Dodger Stadium. If the Dodgers lose, they're out of it. But this afternoon, they remained a game behind, embarrassing the Giants in a Lafayette Candlestick 15-2. Dodgers were so far ahead, Darryl Thomas had a chance to work on his music. He plays a mean Louisville slugger. Stu has the plays that made the difference in the ball game.
The Dodgers are still very much alive. A 15-2 victory over the Giants up north. Let's take a look at the big highlights. The Dodgers put it away with a big 6-run second inning. The highlights of this one, a 2-run single by Bill Russell opened it up. And then it was a big, prodigious 3-run homer by Kenny Landreau, and by that time the Dodgers were leading it by a score of 6-0. To put a little finishing touch on the cake, a 3-run homer in the 5th inning, this one by catcher Mike Scioscia. Dodgers went out and got themselves a 12-0 lead. Giants came back. Dodgers won it 15-2.
We really needed a laugher on the bench, just when we can kick back and relax for a while and just go out and play the game, because we've had a lot of tight games in the last couple of weeks and been very emotional games. They are emotionally draining. I really hope we're coming out of it now as a team and we'll start to swing the bats like we can.
That's the story from Candlestick Park. Now back to you, Fred.
All right, we will check in with Stu tomorrow afternoon. And now checking the National League scoreboard, the Dead Red Machine lost its 100th game for the first time in history. Phillies over the Mets, the Pirates beat Montreal, and the Cubs over the Cards. All right, down at the Big A, Gene Mauch became 1 for 23 today as the Angels captured their second division crown ever, coming from behind to beat Texas 6-4. Angels scored a pair in the first off Charlie Huff. Carew singled Downing in, and then Reggie cranked number 38 to center, 38 homers, a club record. Ken Forsch lasted only an inning and 2/3 today after Parrish homered. Jim Sundberg belted one to left. It was a brand new ball game tied at 2. Texas took a 4-3 lead when Pete O'Brien yanked a homer to right field. But Fred Lynn put the Angels ahead to stay with his 21st homer off Huff with a man on in the 5th inning. And then Luis Sanchez came in to get the final out of the ball game.
Super to me down here, and it's just great to win, especially for this guy right here. We're back in the saddle again, man. It's great.
This ball club just doesn't give up, and we've won so many games from behind this year that it just goes to show it's just a quality ball club, and veteran players, they know what they can do, and they don't get worried when they get behind.
Richie made that play in the 8th inning. I knew, he made such a great play. And then start off the 9th inning, I made that play too. And when I turned and throw that ball at first, I knew there was no doubt we were just going to go all the way.
Well, that's what it's all about, is to win. And I think that every owner of every major league ball club, his aim is to get in the World Series and win it. And that's what my aim is, just like the rest of them.
The Angels will open the playoffs on Tuesday at the Big A against either Baltimore or Milwaukee. The Orioles, 3 back before last night's doubleheader, are now tied with the Brewers. They came up with 4 in the 4th today to take their 5th straight from Milwaukee. Rich Dauer looped a single to center, scoring Jim Dwyer to snap a 3-3 tie. And this is the play that buried the Brewers. Paul Molitor muffed Gulliver's bunt. To make matters worse, he throws it into right field. 2 unearned runs come around to score. Sammy Stewart worked the final 5 2/3 for the Orioles, surrendered only 2 hits. Baltimore 11 and Milwaukee 3. Tomorrow it's Palmer against Sutton for the Eastern Division flag. The Royals won, but the Angel win ended their season. Chicago over Minnesota. Blue Jays shut out Seattle. Boston and Cleveland also picked up shutout wins. College football, UCLA ran over Colorado 34-6 to win its 4th of the year, and quarterback Tom Ramsey had another big afternoon. Ramsey gave to Frank Cephas, who scored here, but on the day, Tom completed 24 passes. That gives him a career mark of 305. He also picked up a 10-yard touchdown run on this play. Kevin Nelson scored for the Bruins late in the ball game, going in from a yard out. UCLA is now 4-0 on the year. Moving on at the Coliseum, Todd Spencer, playing his first game at tailback, looked right at home. All he did was score 3 touchdowns to lead USC past Oregon 38-7. Oregon scored its only touchdown on a blocked punt. Other than that, a very, very long day for the winless Ducks. Spencer, forced into the tailback spot because of injuries, carried 29 times for 149 yards, scored on runs of 1 and 5 in the first half, and had a 7-yarder in the final quarter. Todd was happy with his performance.
Yeah, I'm happy with my first game. I think I need a couple more under my belt to become the tailback that I would like to become. But I was pretty happy with the first debut.
I'm sure the SC coaching staff is happy with it, too. Let's go to the scoreboard. Top-ranked Washington over San Diego State. Pittsburgh won by a field goal. LSU upset Florida. Alabama over Arkansas State. Georgia and SMU both winners tonight, as were Nebraska and Arkansas. Around the pack, Arizona State is for real. Knocked off Kansas State 30-7. Cal over San Jose State. Stanford no problems with Oregon State, and Tennessee 10-3 over Washington State. At the Forum tonight, Kings closed out the exhibition season with a 6-4 loss to Calgary. Kings opened the regular season against Vancouver Wednesday. Bernie Nichols opened the scoring tonight. Then a little preseason pumpernickel, just warming it up. Kent Nilsson scored a pair for the Flames. This one tied it early on. And Calgary was leading 6-2 when Darrell Evans lit the light in the 3rd period for the Kings. But the Kings not only lost the game tonight, they lost the fight as well. The final, Calgary 6 and the Kings 4. And that'll do it. We will see you tomorrow night.
With some good news, I hope.
Let's hope so. Fingers
okay.
crossed.
Root for the Dodgers.
All right, Fred, the only thing you need to keep you warm tonight is someone you like a whole lot. We've got the weather forecast coming up. It's beautiful.
And we'll also show you some little champions who are tops at the 5-yard toddle.
Hi, I'm Carrie Roselle, and these are my buddies, Joey, Jennifer, Wendy, and Sirion. Normal, bright, intelligent kids, yet the joy of learning is often a nightmare for them because they have what is called a hidden handicap. There are over 10 million children in America with learning disabilities. Here, a program funded by the Foundation for Children with Learning Disabilities is trying to help them. This is a new kind of program, one we feel is of great importance. Early detection is vital. Special education like this is essential. But what they need most is understanding and support from their families and the public.
For information on how you can help a child with a learning disability, write to the Foundation for Children with Learning Disabilities, Box 2929, Grand Central Station, New York, New York, 10163.
The deadliest animal in the forest isn't the biggest, or even the strongest. The deadliest animal rarely travels alone. It fears the darkness, but it's cunning. It strikes without a moment's notice. Each year, 9 out of every 10 forest fires are started by these animals. The deadly ones. The ones with the brains.
You don't have to wait until 1984 if you're a proud parent and you really want your kid to make an Olympic competition. Because today marked the 1982 Diaper Olympics for the smaller ones. And age 0 to 14 months entered into such events as the 3-yard crawl, knock the blocks, some ball tossing. All this while the parents and grandparents got to try their hand in diaper changing duels. In the second category of entrants, 15 months to 30 months, that's when things got a little more challenging. There was the 5-yard toddle, a 5-yard toy pole, and what would the Diaper Olympics be without the acclaimed Diety Beer Bear Hunt? I knew I was going to blow that one. I just knew it. Hundreds of people showed up to watch or enter their babies in the contest, and all babies got a little blue ribbon at the end of the day to commemorate a hard day's work. I hope they didn't pin it on too hard.
Anyway, I think you're up next on this one, isn't it? 42A?
I think it's the weather. We're having a great night. This says Frank.
This one says Frank. All right. In case you haven't noticed, right? This is a great intro, right? It's clear and warm outside tonight, the kind of night we didn't see a lot during the past summer. But the National Weather Service tells us this is the kind of weather we can expect through the weekend. The moon is big and bright and very close to being a full circle tonight. Take a look at it. If you feel like stepping outside to have a look, you probably won't need a sweater to do it. The temperature is going down to 62 degrees in central Los Angeles tonight, and with slight Santa Ana winds coming in from the east, it will rise to about 90 degrees tomorrow. For the rest of the basin, it'll be a little cooler tonight, with highs tomorrow also hovering right around the 90-degree mark. The coastal strip should be a sunny Sunday pleasure, with the high temperatures in the neighborhood of 80, and in the outlying areas, there's a chance of winds up to 30 miles an hour whipping up from the east. And of course, all over the Southland tomorrow, the AQMD is predicting the kind of day we can all enjoy, a day with good air quality.
Sounds good.
Anyway.
After passing a spending bill that President Reagan signed into law today, both houses of Congress have now gone off for a month for a full-time campaigning session. But the recess came just a little too late for Long Beach Congressman Dan Lundgren to make a fundraising breakfast in his honor this morning. Vice President George Bush was the main speaker, and even without Dan Lundgren there, he still had a congressional candidate to support. Dan's brother Brian is trying to unseat veteran Glenn Anderson in the 32nd District. And Bush made his point that every House seat is important.
Loyalty and vision have been crucial. The Senate, we can at least try some new ideas. You can get the agenda moving forward. But in the House, we need more people like Brian and Dan, because Tip O'Neill sits there with the politics of the past, blocking everything this president is trying to do. We realize that there's a lot more to be done. These deficits are far too high, but fighting against that Democratic control House, as Brian knows, is not easy. But we have managed to cut that growth of spending, and this president is going to keep on cutting it wherever he possibly can.
Later today, the Vice President flew to Santa Barbara, and tonight he attended a dinner in Palm Springs honoring former First Lady Betty Ford.
Here's a riddle. I've got one for you.
Okay.
What have you got when you have a lot of hot air and a bunch of people who like to get high?
We're going to give you one more hint before we tell. Here goes.
I remember my mother telling me that all she did was take temperatures, make beds, change dressings, and make very little money. But nursing has changed. Today, a big challenge at work is keeping up with technology. We're all here for the patient. That's probably why we got into nursing. And I still care about helping the patient, making him feel comfortable, and calming his fears.
How are you doing today?
But most of all, I care about helping him recover, making him well. That's where my knowledge and training are so valuable, and my technical skills so important. Being there when that patient needs help, staying constantly alert, thinking quickly, and making those decisions that save a life. Yes, I give a lot to nursing, but nursing gives a lot to me.
Nursing has changed.
You know, it's a funny thing about the human race. We think we're pretty smart, huh? Smartest creatures on earth, right? Yet it's your dog who can tell you if somebody outside the house is a friend, a stranger, or trouble. A dog that's loved and cared for wants to protect you from danger. For loyalty, companionship, and fun, there is no friend quite like a cat or a dog. There is a special place where you can find just the right pet, one that's had all its shots and can be spayed or neutered for a surprisingly low fee. And that place is an LA County Animal Care Center. The people there really care about animals, and they care about you. They even offer low-cost dog obedience training. Just look in the white pages under LA County Animal Care and Control. That's what I did. See, the way I figured, you can't have too many friends.
Two men are under arrest in El Monte tonight after they allegedly tried to kidnap a 29-year-old woman and her 3 children. LA County Sheriff's deputies say the two demanded a ransom of $1,400. The plan apparently fell apart when the woman escaped and deputies caught the 2 men. Cindy.
We close tonight by answering the riddle. It all happened in Albuquerque, where hundreds of hot air balloonists from all over the country gathered today for their annual regatta. And it's become a familiar and fascinating sight over the New Mexico skies in the last few years, but I want to tell you, these pictures are going to tell the story much better than words could, so let's watch and enjoy. Want to keep flying, don't look down.
That's right. Did
you see that shot?
The old B.B. King line, right? Anyway, and that's the news for this Saturday night. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
That's right. Well, I'll be back at 6 and 11 with News for LA Weekend. So see you then. Have a good night. Enjoy tomorrow.
Good night now.
The preceding was a rebroadcast of KNBC's 11 o'clock edition of News for LA. Saturday Night Live was broadcast earlier this evening.
You got a lot of good living here, so just do what the doctor said. For the others who want you around, you gotta keep that high blood pressure down.
Sure, I'm ready for this, Dad. After working with me for 3 months? Sure you're ready. All right, partner, let's do it. All right.
Sure, he's got things to learn, but he'll do fine. Make sure you're around to teach him. If you have high blood pressure, don't take chances. Take your pills, watch your weight, cut down on salt, do whatever your doctor prescribes. You can control your high blood pressure if you stay on your treatment every day, no matter how you feel. After all, this is just the beginning.
Partners gotta take care of each other, right?
Okay, Doc.
Do it for yourself and all the loved ones in your life.
High blood pressure. Treat it and live.
Mayor Tom Bradley and George Duke Magian, 6:30 Sunday on News Conference.
creation tells a story that began so long ago, of love that longed to share its life in hope that love would grow. The sun repeats each morning, the story is retold, and just in love's retelling, new chapters yet unfold. Love that's freely given wants to freely be received. All the love you've poured on us can hardly be believed, and all that we can offer you is thanks. All that we can offer you is thanks. Your care called out a people, your love made them your own. You freed their hearts and calmed their fears, and finally brought them home. It's when our trials are ended, we most easily forget, but your friendship never ceases, your love shows no regret. Love that's really given wants to freely be received. All the love you've poured on us can hardly be believed, and all that we can offer